Hi everybody, it's me Bonbon and welcome back to my channel. Before we get started today, I just wanted to say that I actually have a Patreon now. I'll leave a link to it down in the description. I'm still adding tiers and rewards to it, but right now you can get some really cool stuff from me personally, like drawings. I'll do some art for you, I'll draw some stuff for you. If you like my header on Twitter, I can make you stuff like that too. And so if you want to help me out a little bit more and give me some financial support so that I can make content like this more often and try and maybe branch out into other stuff as well, that'd be awesome. I'd love to do some little stuff hauls and product reviews and things, but being a student, it is quite hard to afford those things, so having a little extra bit of money every month from you guys would really help me create content for you in return. Plus you get extra cool things too. I would also like to include some more physical goods, so every month maybe you'll get a handwritten letter from me, or cool postcards and stickers and stuff. I thought that'd be really cool. But yeah, there's a link to that down in the description, so if you can help out, I would love that. If you can't, it's fine, I still love you anyway. I think I'll do some Patreon only live streams and little mini videos, so you'll have access to unedited videos and video clips that didn't quite make it into the video. I cut quite a lot out of me rambling or going off topic or talking about my own personal experience, because I feel like it eats up a lot of time in the video. But if you're one of my patrons, you'll have access to all that. You'll have access to live Discord calls with me if you want to talk to me and get to know me. What else will you have access to? Oh yeah, merch. I've actually started designing some cool t-shirts and stuff. I didn't want to make anything that was just my name, so I've made some actual cool designs. And if you're a patron, you'll get the first look at those. And hopefully, if it goes into production, you'll also be the first to receive a physical copy of the shirts and stuff, which is super cool. I would like to make some little space specific merchandise too, so pacifiers or bottles and things, but that's way in the future. But yeah, if you'd like to help me out just a little bit, one of my tiers is $1 a month. I think the highest is $20 a month at the moment, but anything helps, or just your support and love, so thank you. So today I wanted to do a little space video, because I haven't done one in a little while, specifically about, it's quite hard to explain, but the age range that people regress to. So if you go on Instagram or Twitter and you find a little space page, you'll often see age regressors introducing themselves as hi, my name is, my big age is this, but my little age is this. And usually it's an age range, so between 2 to 5 or 10 plus or something. But sometimes there'll be set ages. And I wanted to talk today a little bit about that and how that can be a little bit daunting to new regressors, and how to figure out what age range you fall into, what age you regress to. And then at the end, I think we'll talk a little bit about how age regression is such a fluid thing that often when you regress, you'll feel like you don't have an age. And we'll talk about that, and that's fine. So, one of the most frequently asked questions I get on my Twitter and Instagram is, 1, how do I know I'm a regressor? Which I'm going to make a video about. And 2, how do I know what age I regress to? How do I know what helps me regress? And these are age related things. So how do you know what age you regress to? Because you watching this right now, you will know your biological age. For me, for example, I'm 19. I was born in 1999. I'm turning 20 this year. I know that just off the top of my head. Does that mean I necessarily feel 19? That's a different story. But it's similar to when you're regressing, because it's not a biological thing, it's not a biological age that's set in stone, it's not something that you can look up on your birth certificate and say, oh, I am this age when I regress. It can be hard to figure out where your headspace is at when you're regressing. You might find that your regression age feels different or changes depending on when you regress, or it could change from 1 minute to another. So, right, let's start. How should we do this? Let's order it by age ranges. So, very broad, big age ranges. So, the first age range we're going to be talking about is 0 to 3. Okay? So, this is for people who age regress into infancy. They age regress into a state where they're entirely vulnerable. They can't really do anything for themselves. So if when you regress you feel like you're entirely codependent on your caregiver, you aren't able to look after yourself, you can't communicate properly, you really love things like bottles and pacifiers, and you would rather just sit quietly and instead of playing with toys or video games or interacting with people. So it is almost like you regress to a stage where your entire world is just being a baby. You don't really get much outside stimuli. You just kind of need cared for. If this sounds like you and you don't like playing when you're in a little space and you go very quiet and you're very dependent on your caregiver, chances are that you probably regress into an infant state. So a very, very young child. Doesn't have to be newborn, can be like a year or two, but still a very young child. Somebody who isn't necessarily, they don't have the cognitive function yet to take enjoyment from things like playing in games. The next age range I want to talk about is 3 to 5 or 6. And this kind of in the middle toddler stage, young child stage. If you regress to the ages of 3 to 5 or 6 sometimes, you'll find that you still have a lot of the dependency you have that an infant would have. So you're still very clingy, you're still very needy. You might need your caregiver to order for you in restaurants. You might be very shy. You might need your caregiver to help you with mundane tasks like cutting up your food or putting your shoes on and your socks on. But you have that added stage of independence. So you are able to take yourself off and do coloring on your own, and you get joy from maybe watching YouTube videos or playing games. This is probably the age where you're starting to take an interest in entertainment. So if your age regression is very toy centric and you find yourself very much drawn to interactive toys or your tablet or your YouTube or apps on your phone or video games, you might be looking at your regression being between that age of 3 to 6. So the next one is a little less common. You'll find that the younger ages tend to be more common in age regression, but it's still totally valid. So the next age group is 6 to 10. So that's quite old as far as your when you think of age regression, you might think of toddlers and babies, but a lot of age regressors regress to young childhood. So somebody that's maybe 9 or 10. If this is you, you'll probably be a lot more independent. You might not need a caregiver or necessarily want a caregiver. You'll be able to function at a higher level. You'll be able to talk, hold conversation, potentially go outside and play on your own, play video games. You won't need as much help understanding or playing video games. You might be able to find YouTube videos on your own. You'll have that higher sense of independence. At the same time, you also probably won't get as much joy from things like sippy cups and pacifiers that the previous two age groups would. You might also find yourself being a bit moodier. Toddlers and infant regressors tend to be very compliant and clingy and needy, and this makes them a little bit whiny and a little bit grabby, but they tend to be very submissive, I guess, very soft and they listen to what their caregiver tells them to do. Whereas if you're in the older regression, where you're regressing to like the age of 9 or 10, you might be a bit moodier and you might be actually wanting to rebel against your caregiver. There are people who age regress to a higher age than this, so 10 anywhere to like 15. This is a lot more uncommon, but I have seen it in a few people. A lot of people especially regress to the teen ages, so like 13, 14. If this is you and you think you might be a teen age regressor, you'll probably find yourself drawn to the internet a lot more. You'll find yourself drawn to things like forums, fandoms, think places like Tumblr. You may also find yourself more socially inclined, so you'll want to go out more, and you'll want to go to like social groups, maybe after school clubs and activities and stuff like that. You'll be very more friend group orientated and focused on more than one person rather than your caregiver. Somebody who regresses to the teen ages may also be somewhat repulsed by the idea of childish items. So if you find that when you regress to a teen, you are more drawn to things like your computer, your laptop, your iPad, music, games consoles, maybe even alcohol, like partying and stuff. And yeah, just like being a bit of a rambunctious young teen who wants to rebel against their parents. You might hate like baby items and pink things and stuff. Then you might be a teen regressor. All age regressors, their regression is different. It's personal to them. So somebody regressing to a 2-year-old might not look the same as somebody else regressing to a 2-year-old. So let's talk about the idea of not age regressing, but knowing that you regress to childishness. A lot of age regressors tend to describe their regression as not necessarily a set age, but just a general mindset of childishness, innocence, joy, maybe bubbliness, maybe they get quite sensitive and like teary-eyed. They become quite codependent, but they wouldn't really describe it as feeling a certain age, more feeling a part of their personality or feeling a mindset. For these regressors, it can be very hard to fit into the community because they don't have a set age and they don't really feel like they're a baby, but they know that they are regressing somehow, like they're doing something. I have heard people in this situation call themselves age dreamers instead of age regressors. That's a completely different topic though, and I will make a video on the difference between the two and the similarities, and you know, maybe you want to start calling yourself an age dreamer instead of a regressor. But I personally don't attribute an age to my regression because it changes so frequently. I can regress sometimes and be like tiny, like I just want to lie there and like do nothing and sleep. So that's almost like infancy. But then a few like minutes, maybe like half an hour later, I'll want to like play my DS, which is more like an older toddler, and then it might flip back, and it's just more like a fluid part of my personality than, oh, I'm regressing to the mindset of a child. So I personally don't attribute an age to my regression. I don't like saying I regress to this age. I just know that I am an age regressor, and that's part of who I am. So hopefully that helps you, because I've seen a lot of people feeling invalidated, I suppose, because they don't feel like they properly age regress because they don't know what age they regress to. I think it's such a subjective thing. It's a label that makes it easier for you to find like-minded folks, but it shouldn't be like a cage that you have to put yourself in. So if you're not sure what age you regress to, or if you even regress to a specific age, really don't worry about it. It's completely fine. Your regression is personal to you. You don't have to justify it to anybody else. So as long as it makes you happy and you love doing it and you're staying safe and you're not hurting anyone, then call yourself whatever you want. I have no idea if you heard anything that I just said, because he decided that he wanted to flap his wings really hard. But if you didn't, then I would ask that you please check out my Patreon. I spent quite a lot of time organizing it. I really like feedback on it as well, to know if there's any more rewards or tiers that I should add that you'd like to see that would make you more interested in becoming a patron. If you can't support me financially, that's absolutely fine. I never put my content behind a paywall. But yeah, I really appreciate just sharing it about, because I really want to use it as a tool to help add an extra layer of quality to my content in the future and like broaden my horizons a bit. So hopefully I can give back more to you than just me sitting here talking to you about stuff. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this kind of settled you a little bit. Maybe you have a better understanding of your regression now. If not, maybe you have maybe you found the confidence that you don't need to label your regression, and that just knowing that you like being a little baby is enough. So thank you so much for watching. From me and Princess Parfait, I hope to see you next time. Bye!